about the intentional economic harm inflicted through the lockdowns. But I would love to hear from you, Brother Kevin, Nathaniel. Could you uh, describe a little bit what you were thinking when you made that comment that I have found myself repeating since you said it, which is that medical mandates are one of the last skeletons in the closet of white supremacy?
Thank you for bringing that up because it's really a special kind of way of looking at it. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. Um, so these medical mandates that we have dealt with and that we saw coming up. Um, I mean, when I saw them, it literally like said to me that forget whatever your world point of view is, whatever your ancestral point of view is, whatever was developed through your legacy of your culture, wherever you came from, forget that because that doesn't count. You know, what counts now is this viewpoint on medicine, this viewpoint on what is legit for medicine that will be now on a pedestal. And you will have to agree to that. You will have to take that and bow down to that. And the bowing down to that, which is what medical mandates basically are, it's basically saying this concept of medicine, which, really is questionable. It's a very questionable concept of medicine that is talking about some experiments and ideas that began in 17th century Europe, where the scientists were supposedly making breakthroughs. They decided to sort of put everything under a microscope and view the world in a fragmented sense. And but at the same time that they decided to put things under a microscope and view the world in that fragmented sense, they were also trying to substantiate um, real estate grabs in other parts of the world, especially the global south. And there was a papal bull, which basically was a religious statement that was going to allow for real estate grabs and and the denial of whole cultures of their own science. Basically, uh, if someone says who's a scientist, and you talk to the Mbuti people of the rainforest, and they can walk you through the rainforest and name every plant and its properties and tell you what it's good for and what it's bad for. And they can sit in the forest and tell you where the birds are and where the animals are, and what the birds are telling us. You know, if you ask me who a scientist is, those Mbuti people in the rainforest are true scientists. They're far more true scientists than anybody in a white lab coat because they can't make sense out of all that stuff. They can't walk through the forest and name the plants and tell you what the plants are good for or tell you what the plants are saying to you. So, this is the things that matter. These are the things that medical mandates write off and discount, and in fact, seemingly attack. And so this is a sort of a worldview that says uh, your legacy, your culture doesn't count. Personally, in my own family, I have a whole side of my family which came up from medicine, but their medicine began all the way back in the early 1800s and was partly Native American. And so one of the adages that came from my mother's side of the family was you can take this medicine and you wait 7 days and you'll probably be all right. You'll probably be all right. Or you can wait 7 days. You could just wait 7 days and you'll be all right. So this is something that came literally through my mother's side of the family, repeated from generation to generation because they were doctors on that side. And they did not use and they did not prescribe pharmaceutical medicine to their patients. And this came all the way from Native American and African traditions. This doesn't, even though they went to med schools and, but they were radical in that sense. But their radical sense came from a cultural lineage. And so this cultural lineage flowed through so many different cultures, not just African American alone, not just Native American alone, but many other cultures. But when we see medical mandates show up, medical mandate says none of that counts. None of that is legit. We're telling you that your medicine is all woo woo, you know, and what we have now is real medicine, the legit form of medicine. Meanwhile, that's this approach is the most questionable medicine. It's the medicine form that's been studied the least. These medicine forms that come from Native American culture, African culture, been studied for thousands of years. They have a thousands of years, and perhaps even a tens of thousands of year legacy behind them, and tested for that many years to see if they work. But this medicine form that comes from the 1700s in Europe has only been tested, used for maybe 100, 200, 300 years at most. And it's had sketchy results. So this is why I say, this is just because, we've had several skeletons in the closet of white supremacy come out and get fully fleshed out, blasted in the spotlight, and debunked. But this is one of the last ones that didn't get blasted in the spotlight and debunked.
Mm.
And we are in this phase now where it's being debunked. It will go down. That pedestal is coming down. But there are those that want to hold it in place. And as Africans, or as anybody who has any sort of cultural legacy outside of that certain sector of Europe, you've got to take it off that pedestal. You got to immediately, as fast as you can, remove that from its pedestal and put it in the same circle as everything else, and realize that if you've got something in your legacy that works, then that's probably way more of value medicinally